guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. I'm Nick, and today we're diving back into Stephen King Sundays with It franchise ranking all three films, or two films and one miniseries. This will unfortunately be my last Stephen King Sunday up until April. The series will come back due to a few holidays coming up. We got Valentine's Day next week. We got uh, March has St. Patrick's Day, so we got Leprechaun coming and stuff like that. So I just don't want to be bogged down with too much stuff on this channel, so it will make a return in April. Now, if you're not familiar with the It franchise, it's about a demon shapeshifter who likes to take form of a clown most times, named Pennywise, who lives in the sewers in Derry, Maine, and feeds upon the townspeople, whether it be mostly children, but some adults as well. And he really uses their fear against them. So before I dive into this, make sure you like and subscribe to get more content. I plan on doing way more of these franchise rankings in the future. So let's get right into this. So coming into third place, we got It Chapter 2 from 2019. Now, this movie was pretty hyped up. It had big shoes to fill in after a 2017 success. And I just don't think it quite got there. Now, it's no secret that the second half of Stephen King's book, It was not the best. The old miniseries, second half of It wasn't the best, and this whole movie is just essentially the second half of Stephen King's book. So chances are it wasn't going to be the best either. But it's not a write-off. I'll tell you that right now. It has great cinematography. Everything's shot very well. It's good directing. The acting is pretty top notch. I actually prefer Bill's adult version in this version of him over the 1990 miniseries, and all the other characters are done well enough. I actually really enjoyed Bill Hader at playing Richie as well. I think that was a good choice. And also there's a little bit of meta stuff mixed in here. We have Bill as an author in this one, and he can't seem to write an ending, just like Stephen King couldn't for this story. We also got Richie wearing the same shirt as Mark Patton playing Jesse on Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and both characters are homosexual, so that's a little hidden Easter egg right there. And we even get a "Here's Johnny" scene from The Shining around the end of this film. So surprisingly, this movie is quite meta, and no one ever talks about that part. The big problem with this movie is that it's almost 3 hours long. You can pretty much say it's 3 hours long, right? And there's just not enough material. The first hour of this movie is great. I think it's up there with the 2017 version. But then we get 2 hours of nothing. Like, the plot doesn't really move forward for at least an hour and 20 minutes or so in the middle of this film. You get each character doing their own thing, going back to something they did when they were kids, remembering everything, and then meeting back up with the gang. And that pretty much goes through every character like that, and it kind of just drags and drags on, where we don't need to see every character do this. So to me, this movie is almost a chore to get through after the first hour. It just kind of drags for me. And it is a bit boring, to be honest, which is one of the worst things you could ever be in a movie. I'd rather watch a bad movie than a boring movie. And another thing, since there's so many flashback scenes to them as kids, I feel like it just reminds us how much better the 2017 version of this film is, or even the 1990 miniseries for that matter. They rely too much on the kids' scenes to make this movie better, which is not a good idea. This movie is also very heavy on the CGI for a lot of their scares, which to me is not scary when I see something it's almost like cartoonish. The CGI, it's done well, but it's not meant for a horror movie. This is meant for, it reminds me of more of like Goosebumps, like the way that the scares work in this. It's more towards teens in my opinion anyway, because practical effects is always the way to go. So yeah, I think this movie should have been trimmed down a bit, just tweaked, maybe edited down to a little over 2 hours tops. I don't think the 3 hour runtime was very practical for this movie and the story that they had. I do like that they dived a little bit into the origins of Pennywise in this one, and we get to see like story about the Indians and that trying to stop him back in the day. I liked stuff like that because that's new stuff, and they tried to change the story to make it their own, but they barely even gloss over that part of the movie. So next up at number two, I got It, the 1990 miniseries. Now, this is essentially It Chapter 1 and 2 put together in one movie or series, if you will. This was like a two-part uh, miniseries for TV, which I'll get into in a second. But yeah, this has great cast. It's a huge cast of big actors, whether you're talking about the kids or the adults. And they all do a great job. There's only one character. It's Bill in the adult version of Bill. I don't think it was the best choice to use that actor. I think it was done better in It Chapter 2. But besides that, all the other actors are great. We even get like Seth Green as Richie. We get John Ritter as Ben when he's an adult. This is a stellar cast overall. And speaking of cast, there's no way we can't talk about Pennywise himself, Tim Curry. He's not in this movie very much, but when he is, it's definitely some of the most memorable stuff. Some people may say it's a little cheesy nowadays, but I just love Tim Curry's performance in this. He was Pennywise for so long in so many people's eyes, and in the 90s, this was terrifying, even though now it may have not have aged very well. Since it's a 1990 movie, we don't have to worry about all the overuse of CGI. This is all practical effects, and they're all done fairly well, especially for TV. The only thing that dampers that is that this was a PG TV miniseries. So, a lot of stuff that they probably wanted to do or should have done in this film, like more gore wise or more, I don't know, just more. I just wish it was a little more graphic, to be honest, but I understand since it was made for TV, that wasn't an option. They had a hard enough time putting in R-rated scenes and kills in Friday the 13th, let alone a TV show. Which is funny because when I grew up, I never seen this as a miniseries. I always just thought it was a longer movie, but I guess it was made for TV. And since we get the It Chapter 1 and 2 in this, the adults and the kids, even from when they're kids, they're having like flashes of the future as them as adults. We get to see that right away. So it wouldn't be as easy to split this film up in two, even though the second part is not as good as the first, but I still think the second part is done better and executed better than It Chapter 2 was in 2019. We get a little over 3 hours of runtime, but I was never bored watching this. I can go right through this in one shot, and it doesn't seem like a chore to me like 2019 was. I'm telling you, that 2019 one, you hit the middle of that movie and it's like hitting a brick wall. But this one flows fairly nicely all the way through. So coming in the first place, we got It from 2017. It Chapter 1, some call it. It wasn't really called that when it first came out until you see the credits. It says Chapter 1. And I think that's one of the best things about this film. It doesn't rely on its sequel. It could be viewed as a standalone film, and it has a perfect little story that starts and finishes. Everything just like kind of wraps up nicely in this one. And to be honest, I don't even need Chapter 2 after watching this one. We get a stellar cast with the kids. Every one of these kids is done perfectly except for maybe Stanley, the Jewish kid. He doesn't really have much character development in this, I don't find, compared to the rest of the kids. But maybe it was like that in the book as well. We got Bill Skarsgård, I think you say his name, I might be off there, playing Pennywise in this and in Chapter 2. And he does give a great performance. I love that it's not the same as Tim Curry's. He does his own thing, and it really works. Some of the lines and dialogue he delivers is just phenomenal. And when he's like drooling and shit, it just looks great. And his look is pretty cool too. It's more of an updated version of a clown. The only thing that's bad with the performance, and it's not really him, it's the way the film was edited in post-production, and that is the way he comes at the kids. He does this weird twitchy, almost like he's having a seizure thing coming at the kids, and all the build-up and tension up to that point, it's just gone once you see that. It's like CGI layered, and he's just moving really fast to come at you. To me, I did not like that. But that's one of the only things I didn't like about this film. The rest of the film is done really well. This is definitely my favorite of the three, no doubt. And the setting of this film takes place in the late 80s instead of the late 50s. And I'm a big fan of the 80s in film and music, everything. So that was just another bonus on top of here. You even get to see A Nightmare on Elm Street 5 playing in the theaters when they walk past, which was really cool. Yeah, and I just think they had lightning in a bottle here. They really took the kids' version of the 1990 miniseries, updated it, modernized it, and just made it better, in my opinion. Like I said, the characters were good in the older ones. This one, I think they're just a bit better. And with the runtime being just a little bit over 2 hours, I think it just flies by in this film, which is a very good thing. Just to add one more note before I finish this, I did enjoy the kills in this one. There's not many, but like Georgie at the start, it's just so intense with his arm getting ripped off, and just the whole scene up to that where he's running, chasing his boat. Everything is just shot so well. The cinematography in this is outstanding. The score is outstanding. The the makeup, the design work, everything is done amazingly. This is definitely one of my favorite remakes, if you want to call it that. The only problem is if you attach Chapter 2 to this, I'm not sure which I would prefer. Those two films over the miniseries, it's tight. But I still think I might go with these two films just because the first one is just so strong. So there you have it, guys. That's my take on these three films, or two films and one miniseries. This is how I would rank them. I would like to know how you guys would rank these films. Do you enjoy these films? Were you a fan of the remake? Were you a fan of It Chapter 2, or did it just piss you off? I want to know all those answers down below. So like I said, the Stephen King Sundays will return in April, but there's still lots of content to come in between then. So hope you guys have a good day, and thanks for watching.